Undercover CEO found a security guard studying by flashlight. What happened next will inspire you forever. It was well past midnight when the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company decided to walk the hallways of his own corporate building. Time, not in a tailored suit or polished shoes, but in the simple, worn-out uniform of a night cleaner. He had gone undercover to understand the unseen struggles of his employees. He wanted to know the truth behind the walls of his empire. What happened when no one was watching? What stories were hidden in the shadows of his gleaming skyscraper? That's when he saw it in the dimly lit corner near the lobby. A man in a security guard's uniform sat hunched over a thick, worn-out book. The light above his desk had gone out, but instead of giving up, he had pulled out a tiny flashlight from his pocket and continued reading with fierce determination. His lips moved silently, repeating every line as if memorizing them. His eyes, though tired, were sharp, burning with focus. The undercover CEO froze, watching. Most guards he had seen on duty usually fought sleep through the long night, but this man, this quiet, unnoticed employee, was fighting a completely different battle. A battle not against time or fatigue, but against circumstance. The CEO, still pretending to be a fellow low-level worker, approached casually. "Long night?" he asked. The guard quickly shut his book, embarrassed. "Oh, sorry, I didn't notice you." "Yeah, just trying to stay awake." But the CEO had seen the title before the book closed. It was Engineering Mathematics, Volume 2, heavy stuff. Definitely not light reading for a security guard in the middle of the night. "What are you studying?" the CEO pressed gently. The guard hesitated, then sighed. "It's nothing. Just chasing a dream. That's probably too big for me." The CEO leaned against the wall. "Try me." The guard looked up, and for the first time, his eyes softened. "My name's Arjun. I work here as a security guard at night, but during the day, I try to attend engineering classes at the community college. My father was a farmer. He passed away when I was young. My mother cleans houses to survive. I took this job to help with bills, but I've always wanted to build things, to be an engineer, so I study whenever I can between rounds, between shifts, sometimes with just this flashlight. It's not much, but it's all I've got." His voice cracked at the last words, but he quickly forced a smile, as though ashamed of showing weakness. The undercover CEO didn't know what to say immediately. Here he was, a man who could afford to buy universities and research labs, standing in front of someone who couldn't even afford a working lamp. And yet, in Arjun's eyes, he saw more hunger, more fire, more determination than in the countless executives he had interviewed in polished offices. "Do you really think you can make it?" the CEO asked carefully. Arjun clenched his jaw, his knuckles tight on the book. "I don't just think it, I have to. Because if I give up, then my mother's sacrifices mean nothing. If I give up, then all those nights she stayed awake sewing clothes by candlelight so I could go to school, they mean nothing, and I refuse to let that happen." The CEO felt a lump form in his throat. This wasn't just ambition, this was survival mixed with purpose. For the rest of the night, the CEO kept him company, asking about his studies, his life, his dreams. Arjun spoke humbly, never complaining, never asking for pity. He wasn't chasing wealth or luxury. All he wanted was a chance to rise above his circumstances, to prove to himself and his family that struggle could be transformed into strength. The next morning, the CEO returned to his penthouse suite, changed back into his crisp suit, and attended the weekly board meeting. But this time, something was different. While the executives argued about profits, mergers, and quarterly reports, his mind kept drifting back to the dim corner, where a flashlight illuminated the face of a determined young man. For weeks, the CEO kept his identity hidden, secretly observing Arjun. He noticed how the guard always showed up on time, never complained, never slacked. He noticed how Arjun carried his books everywhere, reading in the elevator, scribbling notes during lunch breaks. Even when exhaustion painted dark circles under his eyes, he never gave up. Finally, the CEO made his move. One evening, after Arjun finished another long shift, he was called into the manager's office. Nervous, he walked in, wondering if he had done something wrong. But instead of the manager, a tall man in a tailored suit sat behind the desk. Arjun froze. He had seen this face on magazines, newspapers, TV interviews. It was the CEO himself. "Good evening, Arjun," the CEO said, his voice warm. "We've met before, though you didn't know it." Arjun's eyes widened. He felt his stomach drop. You were, yes. The CEO nodded. I was here, watching, listening, and I saw something in you that I rarely see anymore. Hunger, sacrifice, determination. You reminded me of myself when I was your age. I too studied under streetlights once upon a time. Arjun blinked in disbelief. You did. The CEO smiled faintly. Success doesn't erase where we come from. It only gives us the chance to lift others, and I want to lift you. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were papers and acceptance into a prestigious engineering scholarship, all expenses covered, tuition, books, housing, everything. Arjun's hands trembled as he flipped through the pages. This can't be real. It is, the CEO said firmly. On one condition, you promise me you'll finish what you started, because the world needs people like you. Not just engineers, but dreamers who don't quit, even when all they have is a flashlight in the dark. Tears welled up in Arjun's eyes. He couldn't speak. He could only nod, gripping the folder like it was life itself. Years later, at the inauguration of a new bridge, designed by a rising young engineer, cameras flashed as a familiar face stood at the podium. Arjun, now a successful civil engineer, stood tall in his hard hat and formal coat. His mother sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face as she watched her son's dream come true. And in the crowd, quietly smiling, stood the CEO. He didn't need recognition. He didn't need applause. He simply watched as one act of belief, one chance given, had turned into a legacy that would outlast both of them. Final message to viewers. Sometimes the brightest lights shine in the darkest corners. You never know whose life you can change by believing in them. Arjun's story reminds us that no dream is too far if determination is strong enough, and no success is complete until it lifts someone else along the way.